What's up guys, Volt here bringing you a brand new Fast and Furious car remake. In today's remake, I'm bringing you the 1997 Mazda RX-7 that Han drives in the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Now, as you can see, this is not the Bravado Banshee 900R, this is the Anus ZR350. I thought I would do a different take on the build. I tried to do a build for this car. I think it turned out pretty decent. I like how it turned out personally. You know, it's not 100% spot on. The livery for the Bravado Banshee is a lot more accurate than this, but this is at least the RX-7. The Bravado Banshee is based around mainly a Dodge Viper, but we had to use that as an RX-7 and like an S2000 type style because it was about the only other car in the game that really looked close to it, or you could get a livery for it. But now that we have this car in the game, I wanted to make a build on this. I had a lot of requests for this. Well, not a lot, but I had a few, and I will put those on screen right now for you guys. So thank you very much for that. I think the car overall turned out great. I mean, it's not 100%. I've seen a lot of different builds this way. I'm not taking any credit for this build, mainly because the idea came from a guy known as XXII. Now, a little backstory, I was actually planning on doing this car for the Anus ZR350. I was hoping they would have a livery for it. I was hoping I could come up with a design for it, but I couldn't. The more I played around with it, the more frustrated I got, so I gave up on it. Once I saw XXII's video, I believe that's his channel. I'll put his link down in the description below and everything. You guys can go check out his car. You can go check out his videos. He makes a lot of interesting builds, mainly because he's on PC and he can do single player stuff because he doesn't need to spend money on online. You can do like Need for Speed, Fast and Furious, Cyberpunk, the JDM scene, like all kinds of different stuff from different movies, different games, and things like that. And he has a lot of fun with it, and I think he makes some really decent builds. The sad thing is this car is not 100% accurate. They're not really that close. A lot of them are just kind of eye cringers, I would say at times. But you get the idea of what he's trying to go for, and he says that he doesn't make them to the exact, he just makes it to give you like an idea of what you can create with it. Again, I wish he was doing it online and spending his own money online doing it, but sadly, he is not. So we're going to get out of this car real quick. I'm going to show you guys the difference between this car here that I made, as you can see here, and if we go down here, Han's car is right here. Or, yeah, relatively close. As you can see, the livery it fits so much better. It just looks so much closer. And again, it is a Bravado Banshee, but I mean, and it's based on a Dodge Viper, but it just looks closer. I know, that's probably the first time I think I got out of the car to actually show the car. But I think I got rid of my car, and I'm just going to keep this in my collection. It is staying in my collection as Han's RX-7, mainly because, again, it's an RX-7. Now, the sad thing is, there's a few things that are off for this build. One, I don't have a black roof. The car in the movie, and in real life, actually had a black roof. You can't do that on this car. It only has roof scoop options, which is very sad. I'll talk about that in the customization options, but other than that, I wish I had a awesome design that I can come up with. I wish I had a livery for it, but I mean, overall, I am happy with how it turned out. You guys can let me know what you think of the build down in the description below. Which one do you prefer? Do you prefer my RX-7 build here, or do you prefer the Banshee 900R build? Let me know down in the comment section down below. But without further ado, let's stop wasting time. Let's get into it. So starting off with the base price. You want to go to the internet, you want to go to the Travel and Transport website, you want to go to the Legendary Motorworks website, and you want to go down and you want to find yourself the Anus ZR350, part of the Los Santos Tuners update. Now, if you do not have the Anus ZR350's trade price, you're going to be paying the standard price, which is $1,615,000. If you do have the trade price, you're going to be paying $1,211,250. This car is probably one of my personal favorites, if not my favorite from the actual DLC, mainly because you can make so many builds with it, so many designs, and so many takes from it, not just from movies, but from actual JDM real-life scenarios like cars and things like that. So anyways, once you have your car and you have your color, meet me at the Los Santos car meet location, and we'll just get right into customizing the beauty. We're not going to waste any more time. So the Anus ZR350 is in the sports category. Pretty self-explanatory. It's based around a Mazda RX-7. Not sure exactly what year, so you guys can let me know about that. I will note one thing though, this car is a lot closer for the build, mainly because of the idle sound. Now if you listen, you kind of hear that little purr that it has. It's not really much of a purr, but if I get a little bit closer to the back here, you might be able to hear it better. That right there tells me that it's an RX-7, mainly because that is the sound of a rotary engine. That is what is in Mazda RX-7s. This is how I can tell it sounds exactly like it is from the movie, because as he's pulling up in a certain scene, you can kind of hear that sound. As well as just hearing that sound brings me back to the rotary engine. Now, weird thing is, this is not really what it sounded like in Dom's car. Dom's car sounded a lot different, but in real life, this is probably what Dom's car actually sounded like, more or less. They just kind of, tuned over it with a lot of audio, video type stuff. Anyways, as I always go over in all my builds, I go over the overall look, the visual appearance, and the basic design of the car and how it's portrayed in the movie, game, or anywhere else in general itself. Anything I don't go over is completely up to you. I just put a few staples in my build. If you want to recreate my build or take some things away from for your build, you're more than welcome to. Again, I do these for you guys. They're not 100% accurate, but it's about as accurate as I can get on and online. It's not 100% accurate for the car or the customization options or whatever, but overall, you can kind of get the design out of the car. So without further ado, let's just get into the build. So to start things off, you want to go to bumpers, you want to go to the front bumper, and you want to put in a cutout bumper. Now this kind of gives that style of body kit that the actual Veilside RX-7 had. In the movie, the Tokyo Drift RX-7 or Hans RX-7 actually had a Veilside custom body kit on it, and it had like a wide body kit on it, which looked really, really sick. Amazing car, and just overall, one of my personal favorite cars from all of the movies in the franchise. It's definitely up there, that is for sure. Top 3, I would say, at least. And yeah, this opening here kind of gives that cutout of that front bumper, as you can see. After I move on to the rear bumpers, you just want to keep that stock. You don't want to put a diffuser on it. It didn't have a diffuser, but adding those canards at a certain point actually kind of fills in and adds that kind of bumper design to it, but we'll add that a little bit later on. So yeah, make sure you don't put a diffuser on the car. From there, we move on to the engine. Now, this is what I was noticed about what was underneath the engine from Craig Lieberman's videos. We didn't really actually get to see what was in the movie, what was underneath the hood, and also the interior of the car. So these are my own takes on videos and background pictures and things like that of the actual car in real life that I found from Craig Lieberman's videos and online in general. So this is my own take, so you can take away with it what you want, or you can build it however you wish. So for me, for the engine block, I kept it stock to kind of keep that kind of like chrome metal, like aluminum type look to it. After that, move on to the air filters. I went with the primary turbo air intake system mainly because it had like an HKS turbo in it, so I wanted to have that big mounted turbo in there, as well as a decently sized intercooler. From there, I move on to the strut brace. I went with the polished strut brace. I didn't see one in the picture, but I felt like it needed a little bit more of a strut brace than just a basic one, so I kind of wanted to match it with the color of the engine and such, so I went with the polished strut brace, my personal own opinion on that. After that, I move on to the intercoolers. I went with the large logo intercooler mainly because it had a front mounted Veilside intercooler and it looked so awesome on that car. It just fit it, just because pretty much the entire car was made and designed by Veilside. It just brought it all together, that Veilside intercooler. From there, we move on to the exhaust. I went with the street exhaust. It had a nice, decent, single exhaust, of course, but we couldn't get single in game, so got to go with those dual. So the ones I went for are like the nice big chrome exhaust with the street exhaust, and I think they fit the best for this build as well as Dom's RX-7. It's the biggest thing you can get other than doing titanium, which they're just a little bit thicker at the end and not at the tip. So I just, go with the street exhaust in my personal opinion. From there, we move on to the fenders. I went with the primary bolted front fenders, mainly because the front fender actually had like bolts around the outside, like around the front of it. I'll try to zoom in on the picture to show you guys what I meant by that, and it just kind of fits the whole body kit style together. And for the rear, I went with the carbon rear fenders. They kind of get that, livery or kind of style design to the actual RX-7 it had. It's not on the door, which I'm very sad about. I wish I could at least paint the door black. That would be a lot better. But a carbon, rear fender just kind of gives you that look and kind of gives you that feel of that RX-7, in my personal opinion. After that, move on to the headlights. You just want to keep them stock. You don't want to make them sleepy or drowsy, so don't worry about changing that. Just keep them nice and stock and simple. From there, move on to the hood. Move on to the hood catches. I didn't see any hood catches per se, so I would just put none personally. If you really wanted to, a few that you could probably go for would be like the black, like the latch hood pins here. They're just all black, they kind of match the carbon. Those are about the only ones I would say that would kind of fit the build. But again, in the movie and in from pictures and everything I've seen, I did not see any hood catches. So if you guys do know that it had hood catches, please let me know down in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure to give you guys credit on the actual changes in that top pin comment. From there, we move on to the hood itself. You want to go with that nice carbon cutting vented hood, mainly because it had that like big black hood with like the vents on it. Now the sad thing is, we have to make this carbon because there is no secondary option for the car. If there was a secondary option, I would make the secondary color black or something like that to at least change it up a bit. But the carbon option gives it that kind of black like design to it, in my personal opinion, and I think it works really well. From there, we move on to the interior. Again, this is my own take on what I think was in the car and what I found out what was in the car. I'll try to find pictures and everything to show you guys. It's really, really hard. Most of the time I have to make my own, but you know, this is what I came up with. So for the dash, I went with the stock dash. It was pretty much, you know, a basic interior for the RX-7. It wasn't stripped out or anything like that. It was just more or less like a car, like a regular car, because the Veilside RX-7 in real life was actually made for a showtime car, like a show car. It wasn't made for drifting or racing or anything like that. It was made for pretty much show. So like everything on the inside was, it had like an LCD screen on the left hand side. Since, you know, we're here, it'll be over there, but you get the idea. It was pretty much a show car, not a race or drift car, but they turned it into that for the movie. From there, we move on to the dials. I didn't see any dials per se. Now, there might be some up on the left-hand side of, you know, over here. Well, technically it'll be on the right-hand side over there in the passenger, since it is right-hand drive instead of left. But I didn't see any like gauges or anything like that, so I didn't put any like, you know, gauges over here. I didn't put any gauges up here on top. I just kept it stock. I might change it later on down the road, and if you guys know if there's anything in here that I missed, let me know. From there, we move on to the doors. I just kept them stock, you know, pretty much a basic stock interior for the most part. From there, we move on to the seats. Now it had a Veilside custom seat in it, and I went with the painted tuner seats mainly because the straps that I found from a picture were actually green. I was actually going for a carbon tuner seat to kind of match the back end, to kind of, you know, give it a little bit more fade, and, you know, the ballistic just doesn't look right. If you want to go for a more cheap version and it just looks a little bit better, in my personal opinion, go for like the painted tuner seats. Again, they're orange, they kind of blend in with the paint, as you know, they are the paint color. Or you could go with the ballistic fiber tuner seats if you really wanted to, but the tuner seats are the best option because these represent the Veilside seats the best in my personal opinion. But you do want to make sure that you choose either the ballistic or the painted, because they did have green straps, and you do not want the red straps, you definitely want the green. From there, we move on to the steering wheel. The one I went for was, you know, it had a basic Sparco style steering wheel. The one I went for, again, was an Apex Clubman. I think it fits the best for like a Sparco style steering wheel. Probably the next best one would be maybe like a Sprint MK2 or maybe even a Sprint Basic, but it did have NOS buttons in that one scene, so I did want to add the NOS buttons to the actual steering wheel, so I went with the Apex Clubman. Again, it is a 3-pronged steering wheel, and I just think it looks and fits the best. I don't think it really, you know, needs to be changed. I can see here, there you go, 3-pronged. That's what I mean by 3. It has left, right, and bottom, not the top, of course, but pretty much never has a top, just how a steering wheel is. But yeah, I went for the Apex Clubman. I think it fits the best, and it's just my best choice for the build. After that, I move on to the roll cage. I didn't go with any roll cage because I didn't see a roll cage. And a sad thing is, it has a full roll cage. It doesn't have a half. If anything, I would add a half roll cage at the most, because I did not see like any kind of roll cage bars or anything in the scenes when Sean and Han are actually in the car and they're driving down the road and everything. So I would just stick with no roll cage. After that, move on to the lights. You want to go to headlights. You just want to keep them stock. Pretty much an old style car. You just want those nice kind of old style lights to them. You don't want them white or xenon. From there, move on to the neon kits. Neon layout's going to be none, mainly because it was a drift car and it was a show car, which you think would have neon, but it didn't. You know, for a drift car, most drift cars that I see don't have neon because you don't want to have to pay for the damages of the car if you wreck it or damage it of any sort. So the best thing you can go for is none. And again, it didn't have any in the movie that I saw, even in any, you know, deleted scenes or anything like that. I didn't see any neon on this car at all. So just put none and save yourself the money. From there, we move on to the livery. I went with none mainly because there's no livery for this car. I had to pretty much design my own. Hence the carbon rear fenders, the carbon hood, and the front bumper looking the way it is. This is my rendition and take for GTA Online version of the Veilside body kit. Doesn't look the greatest, I know, but this is what I have to work with in online. From there, we move on to the louvers. You want to make sure it has no louvers, and you just want to make sure it just is nothing at all on there. It was a nice clean back window. You don't want to change that. It's just made the car look so much better. From there, we move on to the mirrors. You just want to keep them stock. Main reason for this is it didn't have smaller mirrors and it didn't have the mirrors up on front of the car. It just had the basic stock RX-7 mirrors, which look the best in my personal opinion. So I would just stick with stock. From there, we move on to the plate. You want to put on blue and white 3, and the custom plate you want to come up with is 1030 if you want to come up with a custom plate. Again, that is 1030. Now this is the plate that's on the car in the movie and also in real life. It was a Japanese style plate, and that's why I do the blue on white 3. That is my best rendition for a Japanese style plate because it's pretty much all white, and it has a little bit of text up top, like Japanese text of some sort. I think it says like a district or something on it, and then it says the number that the car is registered as, which is 1030. So this is the number I came up with, and this is the plate that I came up with, which is 1030. Same race spray for last. We move on to the roof. Now you want to keep that stock. Now the main reason for this is it didn't have a roof scoop, and there's no other option to actually change it. If I could make the roof carbon, or at least the top part carbon, that would make the car look so much closer to the actual build that I'm trying to go for than it is now. Unfortunately, all they have for this design and for this build, for the car anyways, is roof scoops, which I'm glad it didn't have one in the first place, but I just wish it had a roof option to change the roof to at least carbon. And then we move on to the skirts. Now the ones that XXII went for are actually the carbon extended skirts. They kind of make it all the way down. Again, the bottom part of the bumper was not carbon, it was solid orange, pretty much for the most part all the way around. Even on the back end, as you can see, the canards changed the carbon as well. That is not how the body style or the body kit of the Veilside body kit works on this RX-7. So the ones I went for are the extended skirts. It keeps the kind of same design, it just makes it all, the basic color of the car, as well as the canards at the back. And those canards are actually added just to add a little bit more depth and dimension to the body kit, and to kind of give you that feel or a little bit more design to the actual car of the Veilside design. It's the closest thing I could come up with. From there, we move on to the splitters. I went with the plastic splitter. Main reason for this is I wanted to have that front bumper just kind of stick out a little bit more, and the Veilside body kit has like these kind of design to it. I think I also added this to Dom's RX-7 as well, and this, it just gives the front bumper just a little bit more definition to it, just adds a little bit more flair to the front, and I just think it looks the best. From there, we move on to the spoilers. I went with the carbon street spoiler mainly because the spoiler in the movie was black. Now I wanted to go with a black spoiler, but there is no option for a black spoiler, so I went with the carbon, which is the next best thing. It kind of gives the kind of illusion or feeling of the black spoiler. The main reason I went for the carbon street spoiler is because it doesn't go above the window. If you keep going down, they go more wide out, as you can see here, and they also get a lot higher, which they actually go almost like level with the car. I want it to be not as level, but about the height of the car, and it also has the same design as the wing in the movie too, with the left and the right part of the wing actually going down, and the front part, or like the middle part of the wing, actually going up, if you know what I mean. It kind of goes like straight across, up, straight across, down, straight across. If you can kind of see, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can maybe see like the design, what I mean. It has the same style of design to it, not as thick as the one in the movie, and it's not black, but again, carbon, a next best choice. And this is the best wing I could come up with, other than using an optional spoiler, which you actually have to change your secondary color to black, and changing your secondary color will change your mirrors to black, which actually the car in the movie had orange mirrors. So I wanted to go with something a little bit more accurate. That's why I went with the carbon street spoiler. It doesn't go above the roof, and I just think it fits really nice. I wish it's a little bit high, I wish it was a little bit lower, but it does fit really well in my personal opinion. From there, we move on to the sun strips. It did have a sun strip across it, and I think it had like a Veilside sun strip, of course, since Veilside body kit and everything else is on the car is Veilside. So I went with the black Fukuru sun strip. I feel like the Fukuru fits the best. It's not too overpowering, and all the other ones just are a little bit too bland and just a little bit too long in my personal opinion. So the Fukuru is just kind of subtle. It's just a little bit there. It's about the size of Veilside, I would say. Maybe if you really wanted to push a little bit, you could go with like the black Mind Mock sun strip to go for the Veilside design, but I still think the Fukuru just looks the best, and it is about the same width as the Veilside one on the actual car, so this is the one I went for. From there, we move on to suspension. I went with a sport suspension. I wanted to get it lowered a decent bit, and then wherever you lower it in the interaction menu, it actually is a really good drift car, of course. But the sport suspension I think fits the best. It has about the same amount of wheel gap and width to the actual inside the wheel wells and everything for the actual movie. If you really wanted to, you could go with like a street. I wouldn't go competition personally, but again, this is your own choice on this. I just go with what I think looks the best and fits the movie the best. In my personal opinion, that would be sport. From there, we move on to the taillights. You just want to keep them stock. They don't ever change color or change design, so definitely don't be changing any of that stuff. After that, move on to the turbo. You do want to add a turbo. Again, it did have a turbo in it, an HKS turbo in it, so you do want to make sure you have a turbo in it. From there, we move on to the wheels. You want to go to wheel type, and when you want to go down to the track category, and you want to put on the Speed Boy rims. Now these I think fit the best. I know I put these on for Takashi's build as well, but these really do kind of speak to the Veilside rim design that they had for the actual car in the movie and everything. So the rims are actually very strange on this car, mainly because the back or the rear rims are actually more deep dish and more sunken in, kind of like if you go to the street category and you go down to, let's say, something along the lines of the rough weld, they're about like that. It's very weird that the brake caliber is sticking out like that. That must be an issue for a car. That's not good. Anyways, the rims are, like I said, more sunken in, more deep dish. But up front, they're more like the track, as they're, more flush and everything. The main reason I go for the Speedboy rims is because it has the rivets around the outside that's going to be completely all chrome, but the actual rim itself is unfortunately going to be alloy. It's not going to be chrome. Another great option a lot of people go for was for the Bravado Banshee 900R was if you go to the sport category, go into the chrome rims, and then you go down and you find yourself the Wangan Master rims. Again, another great option, but the middle part of the rim does not fit or does not look the closest to the actual rim in real life, of the Veilside rim. So the ones I think fit the best are still the Speedboy ones. I still think they fit the best. They have the design for the Veilside design to them, and I just think they fit really well. I wish I could kind of deep dish the back end a little bit more, like make them more sunken in. That would fit the build so much more better, a lot more customization to the rims, but unfortunately it's GTA. This is what we have to work with, and this is what I came up with that works the best. Wheel color is going to be alloy if you choose the Speedboy rims. If you choose the Wangan Master rims, they're going to be chrome, so you can't change that. So definitely do keep it alloy if you do the Speedboy rims like I do. From there, move on to the tires. You want to go to tire design. You just want to keep them stock, no custom tires. Don't worry about changing that. Tire enhancements, I would add low grip tires personally because it was a lot more of a drift car than anything else. And standard tires just doesn't do it. Bulletproof tires if you wish. More realistic if you don't. Again, more realistic if you actually add the low grip tires and make it drift better. And it is actually a really good drift car as well. And tire smoke is going to be white tire smoke. Last before the respray is windows, and you want to make sure it has none. I didn't see any tint on the car, and at most, if you really wanted to add a tint, I would go no darker than a light smoke. But me personally, the way the car sits and the way the car I've seen in a lot of pictures and videos, I'm just going to stick with none. I think it looks nice and clean, and it looks really, really nice. Alright, and I'll see you guys in 2 seconds with a rolled steel primer color. Alright, and we're back. As you can see, I have my car and my primer out rolled steel. Pretty much what I always do for all my builds. That way you know if it's an LSC color, a custom crew color. That way I don't lie to you and say it's an LSC color, but it's actually a custom crew color. You need to join the crew, become part of the family, or take the RGB and or hex code down in the description below, or on the screen, and actually add it to your own crew to make it your own. Again, this is my own take on the actual color. This is the House of Color Sunset Orange Pearl that I came up with, and I think it looks great. Again, the car actually was red at first, but then when Universal saw it, they actually wanted to make it bright orange, and guess what? As Craig Lieberman said, Universal gets what they want, and they wanted the car to be bright orange. So this is the color I came up with. Again, custom crew color. Hope you guys like it. Let me know down in the comment section down below what you think of the car, the color, the build, and let's get right into it. So you want to go to the primary color, you want to go down to the crew section, and you actually want to put that crew color on. I'll put the hex code on screen right now for you guys. So there you go. And again, this is my own custom crew color for the House of Color Sunset Orange Pearl. So if you go to crew, place that right on there. That looks beautiful. Fits this car so nicely. So we're going to apply that. Then we'll back out. We'll go to the secondary color. We'll go down to the crew and do the same exact thing. Put the crew color over top of that as well. Now, most times I do not put a pearlescent on cars, mainly because of the carbon fiber, retracting it and making it look terrible. But certain cars you can actually get away with it for, and this is one of them. Now, it's very, very subtle, but you have to do certain colors for this. As you can see, if I go to like a frost white, it's going to shine on that carbon fiber quite a bit. I mean, it looks great. Pearlescent looks great, but the shine on that carbon fiber, just a little bit too much. So the things I would say you could kind of get away with are things like a black steel, a dark steel, a silver at the most, which I'm going to actually put on mine, just to give it a little bit more brighter shine in the sun and just makes it a little bit more vibrant. I was going to go with a bluish steel, or bluish silver, but it just adds a little bit too much shine to the carbon fiber hood. And I just want to dull that carbon fiber hood as much as possible, but still get that beautiful shine. Now, I was actually thinking about adding different colors, like maybe another orange, but it wasn't vibrant enough. It wasn't bright enough. I did have a gold on it, but again, it wasn't vibrant enough, wasn't bright enough. It does work to an extent. It's not as overpowering on the carbon fiber as is. And the only thing you need to worry about carbon fiber wise for the color to actually get on is actually the hood. The side fenders and the spoiler not affected as much as the hood. The hood is pretty much the main point. You can just kind of play around with it, what you wish and what you want. Again, design it how you want. This is how I designed mine. I think it looks great, and I would not change anything at all. Custom crew color turned out great too. I was thinking about using the Hans 2020 Supra color, but this is a custom crew color I came up with that is completely separate and different than Hans Supra. So there you go. Maybe I'll put this one on the Supra. Who knows? From there, move on to the trim color. I went with the graphite. Again, you just want that nice dark interior for those black racing seats and the black dash and everything like that. So you don't want to change that too much. From there, move on to the accent color. Now, the color of the actual dials in the movie are like, I want to say like a red or maybe like an orange. Now, I tried a red. As you can see here, red does fit decently. I mean, it doesn't fit too bad. And you guys, if you think it looks better than what I chose, then you can let me know down in the comment section down below. But I went with a sunrise orange. The car was orange. I think it would fit pretty well. Plus, it has more of a reddish hue to it than an orange. So it makes it more of a reddish orange than, I would say, more of an actual orange. You can see the difference. So I think sunrise orange looks really well. And that is it. That's how you recreate the 1997 Mazda RX-7 that Han drives in the Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. Yeah, I think it turned out really nice. Again, a few things I wish I could change would be, one, I wish we could get a carbon roof to kind of match the, the carbon fiber on the sides at least, or even a kind of like carbon styled outside of the door. That would give the livery a little bit better of a design. I wish we had a better spoiler for it as well. And I again wish we could have a single exhaust for it, but it's Rockstar, what do you expect? Again, I'm not too picky for the car. I mean, I think it still looks great. You can still get the idea and the, the thought and build around it if you actually look at it close enough. Because I wanted to give that kind of like black look on the side with this fender. And I think I did a really good job with that. We're just going to go back to our parking spot real quick. So I think we're good to go outside. So we're just going to exit the LS car meet. Now, hopefully it's still nice and sunny out. I believe it is. All right, as we're outside, you can see that nice, beautiful sunset orange pearl in there that I came up with, along with that pearlescent just shining through. Again, not overpowering the carbon. I think it looks great. I'm just going to do a little spin real quick so you guys can see the color in all its glory. I'll even do a top-down version. You'll be able to see the pearlescent on the front of the carbon fiber hood, but it's not that noticeable. Nobody's going to really notice it unless it's like a different color. Like if you would add an orange or like a yellow color to the pearlescent instead of like this silver, it's really not going to be as noticeable as the silver. Like the other color is going to be more vibrant than anything else. So as you can see here, I'm going to turn this way. You can see it shine on that carbon fiber a little bit, but again, it's not very much. It's very, very subtle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower it. Again, like I said, a beautiful car to drift with and very, very fun. And it's just a blast. I've had a lot of fun with this car, and it is definitely going to go in my collection. I'm going to replace my Bravado Banshee 900R with this car, that's for sure. Even though the livery is a lot closer for the Bravado Banshee, I still like having the actual real-life car, personally. Or at least a close rendition of the car, anyway. But yeah, I don't want to make this video too long, so I think that's going to work. I'm going to be wrapping up the video. So as always, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a comment down in the comment section down below for what build you want me to do next. Just one, guys, just one. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the build. And if I do decide to do your build, I'll let you know. I always try to get back to you guys about builds that you guys suggest, whether it be something I can do or can't do. May need to do a little bit more research on the build before I actually get back to you, but I will get back to you within a day or two, I would say. Because again, you guys are the channel. You guys are what makes this channel grow and what makes this channel operate, pretty much. So yeah, with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for all the love and support. And thanks for being part of the crew / family. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. All right, I'll catch you guys later. I'm out. Peace.